Hello everybody, Dr. Wilson Triviño here in Atlanta, Georgia at the Innovation Center. Talking about your ABCs. Hey, Desiree, what's up? Talking about your ABCs, your attitude, your beliefs, and your commitment. Here we talk about ideas, we review different products, and we review different activities around town. So anyway, folks, just want to share with you something that was really interesting today. I attended the National Safety Council National Meeting. How's your baby doing, Desiree? The National Safety Council meeting here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's the largest safety council in the U.S., might be in the world, and they get together once a year. They have different congressmen, they have different seminars throughout the year to talk about safety-related issues. The way I became connected with them is that I have a brother who works in safety. He works for Shaw Industries. He is a safety manager, and he makes sure that they meet all compliance. But something that they had that was kind of interesting is they had a top 10 list of the safety violations for fiscal year 2015 announced today, which I thought was kind of interesting. You don't think about safety. Three things that kind of I found fascinating about this meeting is, one is you really don't think about it. There's so many things that happen in our daily lives that we don't pay attention to, and it's that old thing about an ounce of prevention. And thank you for asking your followers to follow here, Desiree. Follow my friend Desiree D. Lee Inspires. She's a great author, great idea person, great motivator. You really don't think about safety. There's so many things we go throughout our lives, our automobiles, our work, our going to restaurants, going to eat, and we kind of take for granted that it's going to be in a good format, a good quality. It's going to be secure. So I was really surprised by the magnitude of it, everything you could imagine. They had the diversity of industries. You had from manufacturing to technical to traditional, that all were involved in safety matters, and how it's so important not only to have a policy of safety, but also to have a culture, value system that people support each other, which you're not afraid to come up and ask someone and say, hey, why aren't you wearing your goggles? Why aren't you wearing your gloves? Why aren't you paying attention to where the cords are? Why don't you pay attention to these flammable liquids? There was a very interesting speaker this morning. The motivation speaker was a guy named Charlie Moorcraft. And Charlie was kind of a tough guy, good-looking guy, and he always felt that safety was a burden. He didn't like to wear the goggles. He didn't like to wear the safety retardant clothes. He was always in a hurry, so he didn't always follow procedure. So one day, his luck kind of ran out. He went to, they had these chemicals they were working with, and for some reason it sprayed out. He didn't like wearing goggles because he didn't like how they fit. He didn't like how he looked in them. He didn't really enjoy them at all. So he wasn't wearing his safety goggles, and he also would roll up the sleeves of his safety retardant clothing. So this one day he went in, and these chemicals, one of the pipes or something burst, and these chemicals fell in his eye. So he was shortly, temporarily blinded. And there was a shower where he could wash it off, but since he didn't have his goggles, he was blinded, and so he started stumbling back, trying to find where the shower was. On his way back, stumbling back, he went the wrong way. He went down the stairways, and then he came up to his pickup truck. And of course, one of the safety procedures was to turn his truck off when he was dealing with these chemicals or checking these things off. But throughout the day, he would jump in and out of his car, so he felt he didn't have time to turn the vehicle on. So as soon as he went to his car, he realized a motor has sparks, and it's an igniter. And he says a split second, he said, oh my goodness. And the flames came down, the fumes came down, and the flame just engulfed him. Since he was wearing his clothes, flame retardant up, his arms caught on fire, his face caught on fire, and he said that he just was in excruciating pain, and he was just burning. So he could barely see, and he saw a little puddle of water. He rolled in the puddle of water, and he was able to turn himself off, and he went kind of in an automatic pilot, and he went down and turned the valves off. And he said it felt forever before anyone came and helped him. They took him in the ambulance, and the ambulance nurse that was inside the vehicle started crying, and he's like, you know, everything's okay, and she just started crying, and all of a sudden his arms started bubbling up, and his arms swelled so much they had to lance it. And then he talked about his rehabilitation period. He had to wear the suit for a year in order to have skin grafts so the skin would grow back. But it was a very touching story because all this could have been prevented because of him. And the burn unit, he was with other people. There was one guy who was at a barbecue. He turned on the gas, went inside to get a match, came back, had not turned the gas back off, and it was a flame, and it burned most of his body off. And all these stories that how safety is so important, how sometimes we think procedure, we think that all these things are challenging, and it just takes an ounce of prevention to do that. At this conference, there also was a lot of education. There's a lot of ability to network and a lot of ability to see what are kinds of the innovative things and the latest in safety of ladders and gloves and hats and everything you could imagine, from oxygen masks to oxygen masks. It could be custom made to everything you can imagine. But these are the top 10 things, which I found it fascinating. You really don't think about the top 10 violations. The top 10, here it says that the top 10 violations for 2015 announced at the National Safety Council, Congress, and Expo. Here are the top 10, going from lowest to the top. Number 10, this here drum roll. Okay, number 10, electronic general requirements, 1,973. Number 9, machine guarding, making sure there's a guard when you use a machine. There was a guy that was in Charlie's ward that was using the grinder. He wasn't wearing glasses. It didn't have a sheet. The grinder blew up and embedded all these rocks in his face. Number 8, electronic wiring methods. Make sure that everything is secure and done properly. 2,400. Ladders 2,489. It's really a skill, and it's very important that you make sure that the ladder is secure whenever you use one. Also, it's the appropriate ladder. How many of us have stood on a chair or stood on a little table in order to reach something? That's how these things happen. You can get hurt. I have a friend that works in safety. Yes, and it's just a diversity of field, and it really is something that all of us need to take responsibility, and regardless of what industry. I mean, you can have an office job. You still need to be aware of prevention and making sure people don't get hurt. Number 9, powered industrial trucks, 2,700 violations. Number 5, lockout, tag out, leaving the machine on, making sure that if there's something wrong with the machine, you tag it, you make them realize that they don't use it. 4, respiratory protection. If you're in a situation where there's a chemical spill or there's a ball of fire, you can breathe that fire and it can burn on the inside, and that certainly is not good. 3, scaffolding, 4,295. You sometimes see, especially here in Atlanta, there's a lot of construction going on. They have over redundant safety features, but that's so important because it only takes one little slight imperfection, one little slight mishap that can make someone that is going to be disabled, going to be a paraplegic, quadriplegic, whatever, for the rest of their lives. Number 2, hazard communication. One thing, Charlie, the guy that spoke, his radio, since the explosion that blew him away, his radio fell off, so he had no way to communicate right away of how he was burned, how he was damaged, to get for help. And number 1, the number 1 violation of the OSHA, and OSHA is an Occupation Safety and Health Administration violation, is fall protection, with 6,721 violations. So an injury, so I'll read what they have here in the press release. Today, the Occupation Safety and Health Administration announced OSHA, the preliminary top 10 most frequently cited workplace safety violations for fiscal year 2015. Patrick Capus, Deputy Director of OSHA's Directorate of Enforcement Programs, presented the top 10 on the expo floor as part of the 2015 National Safety Council Congress and Expo, the world's largest gathering of safety protection professionals. World's largest gathering of safety professionals. Quote unquote, in injury prevention, we go where the data tells us, said National Safety Council President and CEO Deborah Hersman. The OSHA Top 10 list is a roadmap that identifies the hazards you want to avoid on the journey to safety excellence. So those are the top 10 things. Are going to be, the final report's going to be published, and the top violations for 2010 will be published in the December issue of the Council Safety Plus Health magazine. Thank you for the hearts. So I thought this was kind of crucial. I scoped the lecture. If you want to see my previous scopes, also I have posted it on my YouTube channel, which is T like in Tom for Vista. And it was a very moving talk, because he was this man who was a good-looking macho man, and for a split second, because of his bad decisions, but because of his bad timing, and he took full responsibility for the rest of the life. Hey, Savannah, he is not going to be able to live a full and healthy life. He's always going to feel pain. One thing he showed that was very dramatic, where he had raised his sleeves, you could see a line of burnt, of it being burnt, and then the rest was just normal. So the safety retardant clothing did save his life, and it also made sure that it wasn't worse. But it was just a terrible tragedy, and he just wants to get the word out on how, regardless of what you're doing, if you're doing something at home, if you're doing something at work, if you're doing it throughout your life, to always have safety first. You know, a lot of us don't wear seatbelts because it's not comfortable. A lot of us do silly little things that, as Benjamin Franklin would say, an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. So those are the top 10 lists. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was interesting. And it'll be good to know as you go out throughout your industry and your work. My name is Dr. Wilson Triviño. I'm with ABC Vision. It's all about your attitude, your beliefs, and your commitment. I scope about ideas. I scope about cool events. I am a speaker and a writer here in Atlanta, Georgia, and also I review different products. So thanks for watching, and thank you for the hearts, and thank you for sharing these. And if you're watching it in replay, I appreciate you watching it and sharing it with your folks. And have a great day, because today you can become a success and start living the life you want to lead. Be awesome, and thanks so much.